Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. This comes at the end of Paul's letter to believers in Ephesus. He's already talked about how to live, how to walk, how to relate to one another, how to live in a way that reflects what God has done. And then he closes with this: finally. In other words, don't miss this part. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Notice where the strength comes from. Not from willpower, not from personality, not from how disciplined you feel that day. In the Lord. That's the source. Because if you try to walk this out on your own strength alone, you're going to run into limits fast. Paul isn't telling believers to become strong independently. He's telling them to draw strength from God. Then he gives the reason. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand. That tells you something about the nature of the life we're in. There is resistance, there is opposition, and Paul doesn't say if you face it. He says you need to be prepared so that you can stand when it comes. The phrase whole armor matters too. Not part of it, not selective pieces, the full provision that God gives. Because partial preparation leaves gaps. Think about finishing out a long week of riding. You've covered miles, dealt with different terrain, maybe some wind, maybe some rough patches. By the time you're heading into that final stretch, you're feeling it. Now imagine trying to ride that last stretch without the basic things you need. No proper tires, no brakes, no balance. It doesn't matter how determined you are. Without what's been provided, the ride gets unstable quickly. That's what Paul is addressing. You don't just push through on determination. You prepare. And the preparation God gives us is not physical armor. It's spiritual. As the passage continues, Paul describes truth, righteousness, readiness, faith, salvation, and the Word of God. These are the things that guard, stabilize, and equip a believer to stand firm. Because the goal here is not just movement, it's endurance. To stand. To not be pushed off course. To not be worn down and drift. To remain steady when pressure shows up. For believers, this brings things into focus as the week closes out. First, recognize where your strength comes from. If you're running on your own reserve alone, you're going to feel it. Strength comes from staying connected to God. Second, take seriously the need for preparation. Walking with God isn't passive. It involves putting on what He has provided: truth, faith, His Word, so that you're not caught off guard. And third, understand that standing firm matters. Not every moment is about advancing quickly. Sometimes it's about holding your ground and not giving in when pressure rises. So as we park our bikes this week, this verse is a good place to land. You made it through the ride, but the road doesn't end here. And when the next stretch begins, don't just rely on how you feel. Be strong in the Lord. Put on what He has given you. And when resistance comes, and it will, you'll be able to stand your ground and keep moving forward when it's time to ride again. Alrighty, folks, we made it. The end of yet another work week. Congratulations. I hope everyone has a wonderfully restful weekend. Enjoy the holiday. Passover's in mid-swing. And I know a lot of you are looking forward to those Easter celebrations. So until next week, Hava willing. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, my Havarim, my friends, my family. Shabbat Shalom.